Hi, my name's Ian Wallace. I call myself the Messed Up Counsellor, which is quite an intriguing name. And the podcast you're about to see is one of many, and we've been doing about a year now. So you can look back and see all the things we've talked about with guests and on my own over the process. A lot of the information I use in the podcast initially came from the first book I wrote in 2011. Why do we do that? What do we do about it? And that came out and was the basis of all my learning, understanding at that time, which is going back a few years now. And that process of understanding how the world works for people, how we can alter, change, and adapt it, was kind of what it was there to do with the initial stages. I've made that now an audiobook as well, so it's available on Amazon as an audio file that you can check out and you can download to your heart's content, and hopefully that will be helpful. In the podcasts, we're trying to look at all sorts of things that about human interactions, human dynamics, the world, and how we might understand it more or change it more. So it gives you lots of ideas and tools in order to think about and look at different ways of being or dealing with things. And hopefully that brings people together and makes people more able to connect and communicate. Lots of topics. If you ever want to connect to me, just obviously drop me a comment on the podcast and I shall try as much as possible to reply. And if you've got any ideas of things that we might want to use on the podcasts, then please let me know. My name's Ian Wallace. Thanks for looking and thanks for listening. Hi, and welcome to another wonderful podcast from Ian Wallace, the Messed Up Counsellor. Today I'm going to talk about why people, colleagues and friends sometimes annoy you. And it's something that happens quite frequently, I would imagine. It certainly does in my world. And why they do it and what they're trying to get from it and what they achieve from unsettling you. So human beings, when they're communicating, not just communicating words, they're communicating their emotions, their feelings, their frustrations, their anger, all sorts of things. When they need to get rid of some of those feelings, they may not do it with the person that actually the feelings originate with. They may do it further down the line. And that's because the person that they're wanting to share those feelings, emotions with, there might be too much to lose by letting it out, talking about it, sharing it. Or there might be some aspects of judging them or something that would be a negative process if they had that conversation. But they still have the feelings and emotions. So whoever is next on their list of people they meet that day might be the one that gets it. So don't always assume that when people are trying to annoy you, they're annoying you because of you. They may be annoying you because of something else that's going on for them. And that process can get really misunderstood because in their world outside of their interaction with you, there may be all sorts of things going on that you don't know about. So that aspect of needing to get their feelings and emotions out is a natural one, and they may just want to do that with you because maybe they feel you should be able to take it because you're their friend or you're their partner or you're their husband or wife or mother or father or whatever relationship they have to you. There's a song, you always hurt the ones you love, the ones you shouldn't hurt at all. And in some senses that's true because we take it out on the people that's closest to us sometimes because they should be able to hold it or take it. But that's not fair, obviously, because that's not their fault, but it's how human beings work their worlds because of the insecurity, because of the process that they may be going through for the feelings and emotions and worries and concerns, that they're going through that process and they need to externalize it, as I've said. That might not be the reason, but it might be one of the reasons. Another reason that we unsettle people, or we kind of talk to people in a derogatory way, we send curveballs, those kind of things, because we want to disrupt that relationship in some way, shape, or form. And by disrupting the relationship, we could get power imbalance that was there beforehand. We could then take that power and become the powerful person in that conversation. So sometimes people do it because they don't feel powerful. So they unsettle the relationship to gain power. And we can see this with people who are controlling features, controlling aspects, the bullies, the people who derogatory sense make people feel bad about themselves, all those kind of things. If also that person that is unsettling you in their world and their process is feeling unsafe, insecure, or that they don't have a voice in your relationship, then they can do that in order to gain that voice. Not in a positive sense, obviously. You kind of get people who need to display feelings and emotions and frustrations by moving things, leaving things lying around, things that they know will upset you. And we find this in families and groups of people, where one person is unsettling the group and making the group feel awkward. That process usually is because they don't feel powerful within the group. Their position has been challenged, or it's been changed, or they don't do as much in the group as they used to. So they kind of feel that they're needing to push themselves forward. And so they unsettle the group in order, the family, the system, in order to make their presence or their position more centre, more focused. And that's not helpful usually. But a lot of these things we don't think about. It's not something we plan to do. It's a subconscious reaction to the feelings, emotions, and frustrations. So as we're working that process, you have to find out what it is that person is trying to do, what they're trying to create, and the reason for that. And you can do that through dialogue, through talking, through kind of sharing a process in a respectful and valuing way. If you target them, if you say you're doing this or you're doing that, you're not necessarily going to get somebody who's wanting to talk or share or open up. So we have to have conversations that don't target the individual. So we don't talk about what they're doing, because that would target the individual. We talk about a roundabout stuff, as we've said before in previous podcasts, warming the context, as we call it. So we don't talk at it or about it, we talk around it. If that's the case, then if it's just that person's position in the group or the family or the system, then that can be resolved fairly easily. If it's somebody outside the system that's upset them and they come into the system and create that disturbance, not as easy to do, because the person outside the system will probably still keep on doing that. And that's not necessarily going to be helpful. So you have to do some investigative work. You have to do some understanding of why this person is creating this process around you. And as I say, don't always assume that it's about you. It could be something outside of your relationship with them, or outside of the family or the group. But having that process of understanding will help you to see which would be the best alternative to use in order to calm the waters again, make people feel comfortable, make them feel okay. And if it was, for example, that something inside the group has created a change, a shift in their position in the group, in the hierarchy, then you can just give them some understanding that they're still wanted, they're still valued. You might give them a bit more responsibility. You might give them a bit more of a status within the group or the family. You might make them feel as though they are still part of it, not separate to it. And if you can do that, then you can bring that person back in and settle the group down again. And it's understanding the dynamics of the group. And if you understand the dynamics of the group, which part each person plays, as I've said before in previous podcasts, then you can find a way forward in obviously trying to bring harmony back to those individuals. Most people want to be connected. Not many people don't want to be connected. And human beings are social animals, generally speaking. So it's finding the thing or the situation or the scenario or the reason for that process that will help you bring that calm, that settling influence back. Not an easy one, because most people will be affected by that unsettling process if we're talking about a group again, or a family, or a system. So different people will have different reactions to that. And then you get this kind of like pebble in the pond process where you drop the pebble in and you see the ripples spread out, affecting different people in different ways, depending on where they are in the system as well. So it's about a shared process of bringing together that harmony, that understanding with everybody in the group or everybody in the system. Otherwise, you might find that another person gets unsettled by the changes you've made, so because of the group dynamics. So you need to have the group on board. You need to have them working towards the same end, working towards the same process. And then everybody can work within a way of making everybody feel okay. Win-wins work, win-lose doesn't. If everybody's getting a win, then pretty much it'll work. If somebody feels like they're getting a lose, probably not. They're going to disrupt those processes. So if, for example, you had a group of people that was joined together with a team effort, maybe a football team, hockey team, any kind of team process. If somebody moves the position in the team, then the team will have to reorganise to accommodate that change. But that change won't necessarily affect each individual the same way. So in order to understand the way that works, you need to understand each person in that team. And then you introduce the change in a group process, not in a targeted process, in a way that says this is going to help everybody, not just you or me or whoever. And it's going to help everybody to get a better result, a better outcome. It's going to produce a better end result. Now, if that's the case and you work that process, then by and large, you'll be able to work that calming, that change, that process for the group. But it takes a bit of work, a bit of investigation, as I've said, a bit of the whodunit kind of stuff that we lead. But if you're trying to do that with a group, then bear in mind that some people, not everybody, but some people just like to unsettle groups. They just like to create disharmony, conflict. They like the energy that they get from that and the kind of position they get from it, that they're the ones. Now, if that's the case and somebody's getting pleasure out of disrupting the group, that's a different process, I'm afraid, and one that might mean that the person within the group has to, sneeze. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Okay. The people in the group will be able to accommodate that process. But as I said, if that person takes delight out of making that situation unsettled, they get pleasure out of upsetting people, or upsetting groups, upsetting systems, then that might mean that you have to think about that person not being part of the group. Because no matter what you do, they're still going to create that process. And that's going to not be helpful for the future. So sometimes the group needs to extract one of those people and distance themselves from that person, because that is the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. And no amount of help, support, calming processes, interactive processes will work, because they're always looking for a win-lose. They win, you lose. It's not an easy one, that one, but sometimes that is the way it has to happen. Try and work out what it is they're trying to get, what they're looking to achieve, what's the reasons for why they're doing this process, why they're unsettling you or the group, and then make some decisions about it. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you enjoy the podcasts. And if you do, please like and share. I received news this week that we've had, believe it or not, and it has stunned me, we've had 3.2 K, is K thousands? 3.2 thousands, I think K thousands, downloads of the podcast through Podbean on our 100th episode that we released this week. Hopefully, the people who are watching it are enjoying it, and as always, I'm always open for situation scenarios that people want me to look at, and just send me an email, drop me a line. My name's Ian Wallace. I'm the Messed Up Counsellor. Take care. Hi, thanks for listening to the podcast, and hopefully it made sense and was interesting for you. Please subscribe, like and share. With the podcasts, you never know who will be helped by the things we talk about, things we share. We don't normally tell people our problems, but by sharing it and helping other people to understand things. The book Insecurity, It's All About Me, is also available now through Amazon, and it gives you an understanding of what drives insecurity, how insecurity works within our human dynamics, and how you can get a much more secure connection with people. It gives you lots of ideas and thoughts, which is really good. So thanks for listening. Subscribe, like, share, hit the button, and if you've got any comments, please give me them, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks very much. Take care.